never die!
Into the hands of Tavon Gwynn. And Gwynn finds a lane up the middle across the 30, now on the left side of the 40, 45, spinning around, and he's brought down just shy of the 50. What a return by Tavon Gwynn. And Southwestern showing some life here on their fourth possession coming up. Fourth and 3. Hover gonna keep it. Hover has the first down across the 35. In between the marks he goes, and inside the 30. A great play call by Coach Austin, and Southwestern has the first down inside the 30. Hover shotgun. Heim is back to his left, to receivers to either side. Hover again gonna keep it. He breaks through one tackle, still on his feet, dives his way forward. He's still on his feet, and Hover will go in and score the touchdown. What a run by Hover. 29 yards by Frederick Hover.
The first point scored on Mary Hardin Baylor in the first half this year.
Tough night tonight. What can you build from here, and what can you use to try to develop your guys going forward?
Young guys played against a really, really good football team. And that's got to fuel you forward. It'll be a good gut check. It was a tough matchup for us.
Definitely.
And things didn't go well, and we didn't do a lot to make it go well, so we got to keep working. We got to keep working.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the Sheraton Hotel. Rob Hipp alongside Coach Joe Austin. Again, talking about lost the game in a tough contest this past Saturday, 77-7 on the road at Belton versus Mary Hardin Baylor. This was the toughest challenge yet this season, and the Southwestern took a hard loss against the number 2 team in the country, Coach. We'll talk about that here in just a few moments. After the first quarter, UMHB led that contest 21-7. They never looked back, shutting out the Pirates the rest of the game. They scored 36 in the second quarter and led 7-57 at the half. In the second half, the Crew scored 20 points. Both teams 16 first downs. The Pirates struggling from the passing game, only 4 of 14, 71 yards compared to 15-26 for 229 for UMHB. Southwestern did have a fair running game, putting 166 on the ground compared to 169 for University of Mary Hardin Baylor. The Pirates were plagued again with turnovers, 3 interceptions, 1 fumble. Penalties also in this game, of course, Coach, causing a few setbacks, 5 of them for 33 yards for Southwestern. Coach, you know, we knew coming into this game, as we talked last week, we knew coming into it was going to be a very tough matchup. Can you talk about just the toughness? I mean, the school speaks kind of for themselves, but talk about the toughness versus the University of Mary Hardin Baylor, Coach.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they're one of the most talented teams in the country, probably the most talented. They've got maybe the biggest staff, probably the biggest budget, the most expensive stadium. I mean, they put a lot of money into being good at football, and a lot of their school, from an enrollment standpoint, is around the male enrollment and the enrollment from football. And they put a big emphasis on it, and they've done a good job. And we didn't talk about it, some of the other things around their program. I think we've done a good job staying away from that, and I don't want to talk about that now either. But there's good and bad that come with their football program, but they're very good. They just reload. They get they have NFL prospects, and they have Division I players, and they basically are they're a very solid program that has worked really hard at this.
Well, we know And you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. It's just something I wanted to bring up, Coach.
Okay.
And you can choose yes or no on this one. But
my boss is here. She can come grab the headset from me if need be.
And before I say any of this, I do want to mention that the hospitality, and this is in no way negative of UMHB, just something I wanted to mention, but the hospitality of that organization, that school, I wanted to give them a special thank you. Very hospitable, some of the nicest folks. We've been around so many nice folks.
They do a good job.
And we appreciate them this season. With that being said, they're known to score points, Coach. You're up 70-7. They go for it on 4th down and 6 and score another touchdown. So what are your thoughts on that, Coach?
It's not their job to play defense for us. I would probably make some different decisions, fake punts, the timing of fake punts, and what you do with your subs and how long you keep your starters in. Different philosophy than what I have, but I've said it before. Teams in their position are playing for style points. Mm-hmm. They're really upset that right now they're ranked number 2 in the nation. They're ranked number 2 because the number 1 team beat them in the championship game last year. Last year they were number 1 all year because they won the championship game. So they're playing for seeding. They want to have home field advantage all the way through. They want to be the top seed in our region. They're trying to put it on them. And I will say this, and I know this because the coach on our staff coached for them before. There's a few teams that they care about winning that they think are good programs. We're one of them. They care a lot about it, and there's no doubt they wanted to put it on us. They wanted to score as much as they could. They left their offensive and defensive starters into the fourth quarter. They're faking punts in the second half. They're trying to score on 4th and 6 with a minute left. That doesn't bother me. None of that ever bothers me. We come to play football, and so that doesn't affect shouldn't affect our players. It doesn't affect our coaches.
Well, I'm glad you glad you were able to answer that question, because that's something I had a lot of people asking me, why would you do that? And it makes sense. You're still trying to strive, and you answered that. So for those
don't get me
out there
wrong, I'm not defending it. I'm just telling you that it doesn't bother me. But I do understand that they're playing for style points, and they're trying to score as much as they can and give up as little as they can. Because they're trying to have that home seed. And with the championship game coming to Texas, they're trying to not leave Texas in the playoffs. That'd be a big advantage for them.
Well, Southwestern committing 4 turnovers. Can you talk more about those in this ball game?
Well, you miscounted. We committed a lot more than 4. 4 of them turned into defensive touchdowns. I think we committed 8.
That's right. Yeah, sorry, you're right. I was giving a little bit of credit, Coach.
I'd never been a part of that. It was a uniquely. I don't know how to describe it. I've never been a part of it. Sometimes the wheels come off and things roll in the wrong direction, and the wheels definitely came off. Some of them they forced. Some of them were ways to turn the ball over that I'd never seen. Mistakes that we've never made in practice manifested themselves. But it really comes back to how good and fast they are on defense and how much they pressure the line of scrimmage. And the time and the space they take away. That's a hockey term, I guess, how much hockey I watch. You take away time and space, you force mistakes. They take away all of your time, and they take away all your space. So you saw quarterback mistakes because they had no time, and you saw ball handling mistakes because we had no space. So a lot of credit to them. The path for us to win games like this is to be clean. And I told the team that last year, some of our guys didn't think I was confident that we could win, so I made sure they knew Sunday of this game week that I think we have a path to win. I know we have a path to win, but it's narrow. It's going to have to be penalty-free. It's going to have to be turnover-free, and we're probably going to have to catch them on maybe not their best day. But we just didn't do our part. We didn't play penalty-free. We certainly didn't play turnover-free, and as a result, we didn't give ourselves a chance.
Well, Coach, in this game, as all games, there's always something you can take away positive. I was looking through things and saw one fair thing, to be fair, with Southwestern, the running game, putting up over 166 yards. Can you talk about maybe that and some of the other positive takeaways that you may have noticed in this game?
We had some negative plays that dinged our overall rushing numbers, but we gained over 200 yards against them. And I wanted to have our intern go back and maybe look and see when the last time someone gained 200 yards rushing against them, because it's been a long time. And I'm talking 3, 4, 5 seasons maybe since someone's gained 200 yards rushing against them. So that was a real positive thing. Of course, we had some sacks and some fumbles that count against your rushing total to end up with 166. And then as our coaches talked to their coaches after the game, they were genuinely upset that we ran the ball against them as well as we do. Of course, that's one of our big objectives, to try to do that. And then we struggled in the passing game. We couldn't really pass block them very well, but we could have some success trying to move the ball with the run.
Well, Coach, talking about some other positive things, Galen brought up the comment, if I'm not mistaken, the first time that any team has scored on UMHB in the first half this season, Southwestern doing that with the one touchdown. What did you tell the team at halftime and then after the game in this one?
Well, you just have to play it. At halftime, I told them, and I think Coach Kriesel beat me to it, the outcome has been decided. I don't think we're going to come back from the deficit we had, but now we're playing to get better. We're playing for character and pride, and we're playing because this is what we wanted to. We wanted to be in this conference. We wanted to be playing these teams versus teams in another league where the score could be the other way in our favor. And so we just had to buckle down, and it was a good character test for us. And our guys definitely responded and played hard till the end, which I'm proud of. And so I think there's a lot to learn from that. We hadn't been – this is our first losing streak in 3 years where we've lost multiple games in a row. And in fact, I think maybe our seniors maybe were here 4 years ago. But other than our 9 seniors, no football player in our team had ever lost multiple games in a row. So it's a new thing for them. And we have to learn how to handle that with poise. We have to learn how to handle that with humility and push forward from here.
That was one of the statements I was going to make next, Coach. It kind of leads into the next question. Southwestern falling to 1-3 in the American Southwest Conference play. Can you talk about some adjustments, some improvements that need to be made as we continue? There's 5 more games, of course, in the conference, and to avoid and put a stop to the skid that Southwestern is seeing right now.
Well, the thing that I feel as a head coach we can hang our hat on is that we're going to play good run defense. And we did. At the end of the game when we emptied our bench, so to speak, and made sure we got all of our guys in that deserved to play and needed to play, they got some chunk plays. But when our first defense was in there, and Garrett Womack's going to be on here in a little bit as far as guys that are great against the run, and Garrett's a good pass rusher also, our first group really stops the run well, and that's what we can hang our hat on. Our inside quarterback run game, we saw Fred with another long run, just a really good effort. If you're looking for something on offense, that's a starting point. So we know we can stop the run, which is really good, and we can run the ball inside, especially with our quarterbacks, because that puts us in a +1 situation. When we use our running back or multiple running backs as lead blockers, we can get in good number situations. So we have to build around those things and get better. But the formula for us in this conference, we're a unique academic school that has a little bit different access to athletes. Our path to be successful consistently is to be clean. We're not going to be a team that can commit 10 turnovers and 10 penalties and have a chance to win. So we just need to play clean and play really good, smart kid football. We have to play like the smart kids.
Coach, final 3 questions here as we continue to talk here with Coach Joe Austin in our first segment as we go back to the game on Saturday. How were practices this week, the mindset and kind of the practice schedule this week? How did things go in practice, Coach?
Well, offensively, it's been a really good practice week so far. I think defensively by individual and position group, our coaches are feeling good about it. One of the tough things for us right now is because we're a smaller roster, and especially with our injuries, there's not competition at every place. I'd love to say that every player on our football team is getting pushed by someone, and they have to come every day and be focused and prepare and practice really, really well to keep their job. We don't have that at this point because we said we only have 9 seniors. We're in a little bit of a developmental phase in some of our position groups. There's not as much of a push behind guys as I'd like for them to see. So we're asking them to have a lot of focus and intrinsic motivation and to be focused on becoming experts at their position. That ties into your last question about what's the path forward. Mm-hmm. Well, we got to get back into constant improvement, and we got to get into becoming experts at what we do, because there's guys, like the 2 guys that are coming in, there's no one at their position they're going to talk tonight. There's no one that's going to beat them out. They're the best that we have, and so it's imperative that they really care about developing their skills, developing physically, and just being the best that they can be, not only for themselves but for their units on offense and defense and for the football team.
Well, Coach, you mentioned something I think is a great point. You talked to Chuck Cracy, our sideline reporter, after the game about it. You talked about, you just said it, 9 seniors. So overall, a fairly young Southwestern University team, but building, growing, and learning. And so as we look at that, a lot of positive things. In the midst of some negativity, there's always something positive, Coach. At this point, final 2 questions here. How would you kind of describe the health of the team right now at this moment in the season with 5 to go?
Well, the health kind of went out the window after the first game. So we lost 3 more defensive players in practice last week. We lost an offensive player in practice this week. Because we're young and getting younger, And we learned, prior to the SHN years, we learned what it's like when you play a lot of freshmen and sophomores. They don't physically hang around. They just can't go through it. And the physicality of the league we're in now is even more challenging than the league we were in then, although we're playing a lot of the teams from this conference before. So, it's nothing you have to worry about us, because it's football. It's the way it goes. It's part of the challenge of the profession. But we're definitely, our top line guys are out the window. We're not going to have the top 11 that we wanted to have on offense and defense, and now we're trying to develop players quickly and get to where we can be the best we can with the players that we have available.
Well, Coach, before we wrap up this first segment, final thoughts as we look back, any final thoughts, anything that you'd like to mention here before we move into our second segment?
No. I'm ready to move on from this segment.
See, I didn't know if I've ever left any open-ended questions, so I would toss one out there.
No, it's all good.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you. Your accessibility this season has been instrumental in what we do, and more importantly, the work that you do for the student-athletes here at Southwestern. Simply amazing. We're looking forward to the game coming up. We'll talk about that versus Sul Ross in the fourth segment, but for now, we'll step aside. We'll take a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause for your head coach of the Southwestern Pirates, Joe Austin. Let's give it up for Coach. We will take a quick break. We'll move into our second segment as we will start interviewing our guests. Don't go anywhere, folks. Enjoy the food and be thankful we are here at the Sheraton. They do a great job hosting us. We'll be right back here. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues on SHN Sports. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. Rob Hipp, your host here, now alongside the senior wide receiver, number 84, Landry Bray. Let's give it up for Landry, who is here at Sheraton tonight. We talked to Landry, Arlington, Texas, a product of Lamar High School. And I want to go over a few awards. You've won a few here at Southwestern, and more than a few, young man. You've done a spectacular job with your academic career as well. You won the Director of Athletics Academic Excellence Award 2015 to 17. You're on the Dean's List from 15 to 17. You're on the ACAC Academic Honor Roll 15 and 16. You're also an ASC All-American team back in 2017 last year, majoring in business, minoring in exercise and sports studies. Landry, let's give it up for that young man, for this young man. Awesome job on the studies, man. And I saw that minoring in exercise and sports studies, so I'm assuming diet has to be part of that. So maybe you can help me because I'm addicted to Whataburger, man. So.
Yeah, I used to be addicted to Whataburger.
Well, Landry, thanks for being here. Before we get started, can you talk a little bit about what it was like growing up in Arlington here in the Lone Star State and attending Lamar High School?
Arlington is a great place. It's really grown since I was born there, actually. So it's really grown a lot. You got all sorts of things to do there: Six Flags, Hurricane Harbor, the Cowboy Stadium, the Rangers ballpark, all of it. Lamar was a big school, big 6A football. I had some good coaches, played with some good players. I really enjoyed it. High school football was awesome. Doesn't quite compare to college football, but it's a fun time.
Well, cool, man. I've been up to the Arlington area a few times, watched some Rangers baseball up there. And,
yes, sir.
Now the Round Rock Express calling they moved away. They're back
Houston.
to the Astros now.
Yeah.
So, well, you talk about being there at Lamar High School. Can you talk about some of your favorite memories when you were in high school up there and playing football?
So I played some as a sophomore. They called me up to return punts when I was a sophomore. It was kind of nerve-wracking, I guess, but the first game that they put me in to catch punts was a playoff game, and I was deathly afraid. They put me back there. I fumbled the first punt return that they kicked me. They scored a touchdown. Bad news. I ended up scoring a touchdown later in the game, though, so that's kind of like my favorite memory from high school football. But other than that, senior year, we went pretty far in the playoffs, so that's a good memory. I played with some good guys. Shane Buechele at UT was my quarterback for 2 years. So he's a close second to Fred in talent, I would say. So
awesome, man. Well, let's talk a little bit more about Southwestern as we continue to talk to Landry Bray here, the senior wide receiver for Southwestern Pirates. What led you to play here at Southwestern? Kind of how did you find out about the school, and how did you end up here in beautiful Georgetown, Texas, man?
So originally I didn't want to play Division III football. I told my coaches, if a big school comes and wants to talk or anything, let me know. Like I would love to go play. So I kind of gave up on the football thing, and then halfway through my spring semester of my senior year, my good buddy from high school came on a visit. Jordan Sturgeon, he was actually my roommate my freshman year in college, and I first stepped on campus with him. He invited me to come with him to check it out, and I loved it. Just like how beautiful the campus was, how awesome the coaches were. I got to know Coach Winsett really well from the very beginning. And that was an awesome thing for me. We have a great relationship, and I think that our comfort level with each other was probably the main reason that I came.
Awesome,
Coach Winsett. So
well, it's good to have those relationships,
Absolutely.
Landry, and I'm sure the logo on the water tower had something to do with it too. Because how many colleges have the logo on the water tower? That's what makes Southwestern unique, man. Well, you're a senior on the team.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about your role as a veteran on this team and really how the underclassmen may look up to you?
I think that everything is done by example. I've been around for 4 years now. I know how the program works. I know how Coach Austin wants things to be run. And so I try to do that every single day when I come into practice. And I think that just shows the young guys, what playing football at Southwestern is supposed to be like, what a Southwestern football player is supposed to do, like as in the community, in school, as a teammate. So I guess like I'm not a super vocal leader. I'm more reserved. But I think that this year I've kind of stepped out of my comfort zone a little bit, saying stuff to the team that I normally would not have said back when I was younger.
Being there as a senior, you can do that a little bit.
Yeah. I definitely have the credit to say what I want when I want to. I'm kind of shy, but I'm working through it.
Awesome, man. Well, can you talk a little bit about your offense and the other wide receivers there, your teammates, and really what helps bring you guys together as a core on the offense?
Our offense is so interesting, and we do so many different things, and I think that it all kind of comes back to the offensive line. I know that Coach Austin talked a little bit about the injuries that we've had, but we really took a toll on the offensive line this year, missing 3-4 of the guys that we thought were going to start at the beginning of the year. But I think it all kind of starts there. A lot of what we do is running and blocking, and I really love blocking, and I know they do too, so I think that that's kind of where the team starts. Receiver-wise, we have a bunch of really talented guys. I would love to get the ball in every one of their hands 10 times a game, but it doesn't always work like that. But they're a good group of guys, and we have a lot of fun throughout the week together. At practice, Thursday nights, we have meals together with Coach Winsett. His wife cooked us an awesome pulled pork dinner the other night, so we enjoy doing that. It's good to have that camaraderie and
That's
just
good,
have
yeah.
fun with each other. So
Awesome, man. Well, I'm only going to ask one question because we don't want to, rewind to the past and talk a lot about UMHB. But
Yeah,
I
go
do
ahead.
want to ask one question. Of course, a tough game this past Saturday. They didn't really allow much in the passing game. Can you talk a little bit more about the game and your thoughts on really their very tough defense?
The game was a tough one. It's probably the toughest game I've played in my football career. It's probably the worst I've been beat by a team. But with that comes a lot of learning opportunities. I thought it was kind of cool, first of all, to play in their awesome stadium. I thought that was super fun. And then to play against the best football team that I've ever played against in my life. It's the best talent I think I'm ever going to see on a football team, get to play against. So that was my favorite part about it. I'm trying to put the score behind me and the game behind me. But looking back on it, those are the two things that I really enjoyed about it.
Well, as we kind of look ahead to next week, of course, or Saturday, it seems like time just flies by. We're talking about the big, long road trip to Sul Ross. What is preparation like for you in these really long, road games? This is going to be the farthest road game you guys have this season as far as travel. So talk about your preparation for those type of games.
The bus drive is always long. Last year we went to Belhaven. It was like 12 hours or something like that. So this one's not as long. But I like to go to sleep, listen to music on the bus. I think that's the best way to pass time.
Do you ever do this to the truckers, to see their horn, man?
No, but I will this week.
Sorry, Coach, not trying to give him any ideas here.
But when I'm not sleeping or listening to music on the bus, I have a good time with my teammates. We're always joking around in the back and having fun. So I think when it comes to football, my favorite thing about football, playing football, is the fun aspect of all of it and the camaraderie and being with your teammates, having that group of dudes that you can joke around with and have fun with every single day. Whether you're traveling or practicing, playing a game, whatever.
What are some goals? I always ask every week you guys about goals. I think goals are important. It kind of sets a pathway for where you really want to go. Can you kind of talk about some of your personal focus, maybe some of your goals you have here throughout the rest of your career at Southwestern?
I really, really wanted to win the conference championship this year. But looking forward to the rest of the season, I think that winning out is my biggest goal. I think that we have a really good chance to, as long as we can, stay focused and continue to improve on the little things. And so that's definitely the biggest goal. I haven't scored a touchdown this year. I'd really like to score a touchdown in my last season at Southwestern. It's kind of like my last season to play football, actually. It's kind of crazy to say, but I think that's one of my goals. I would like to do that. Let's see what else. Just school in general. I think that one of my goals is to make it through the year. Doing well in academics, graduating in May. That's obviously
that's a big
one. Probably the biggest goal. That's it.
It's amazing. I still have dreams. I don't know if anybody else in the audience has these dreams, but I still have dreams where I messed up something in high school and I didn't graduate high school. Probably about 3 times every month, and I wake up scared to death thinking that I didn't graduate high school. So, well, as we continue to talk to Landry Bray, just a couple of final questions here. Who's been your biggest influences? Maybe one, maybe a group of people. Can you talk about those people that have made a big impact on your life, Landry?
Since coming to school, there's a group of guys that I've really gotten to know, and I think that college is a big growing experience. You're learning how to be an adult, and I think that this group of friends that I have, Fred's included, there's a lot of guys on the football team, Markel, DQ, AJ, all of them. That's kind of been like my close group since day one here at Southwestern. We came in as freshmen together, leaving as seniors. But I think that group has really taught me, how to be a man, how to be accountable, and just like how to be an adult. And I think that's awesome.
Awesome, man. Well, finally, Mickey back there, who's been back there all night. Miss Mickey, we appreciate you. Camera's on you. Who do you want to send a shout-out to out there tonight? Someone you want to say hello to and send a little love back at home to up in Arlington, man.
I want to send a shout-out to my mom. She is an awesome supporter. She's always at the games, always watching. So I really appreciate her. My dad's up in Maryland too. I want to give a shout out to him. I don't get to see him too often, but when I do, it's awesome. I love him to death. Yeah, and I also want to give a shout out to Madison. That's my girl back home.
There you go.
She graduated last year, but I don't get to see her too much anymore. So that's kind of sad. But we make the most of it.
Awesome. Well, let's give it up. Landry Bray, another great young man here at Southwestern.
Thank you.
Landry Bray, we appreciate you. We'll stop. We'll take a quick break. We'll bring up our other guest. Is everybody having a good time tonight? Can I hear some claps out there? Food is good. We appreciate you guys being here. We'll take a quick break. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues in just a few moments. Well, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. Rob Hipp here, now joined by the junior defensive end, number 42, Garrett Womack. Let's give a big Womack to Garrett Womack. I like making verbs out of y'all's names sometimes. I don't even know what that means, Garrett.
No, that's cool. I've heard it many times.
Well, we're glad to have you here from Austin, Texas, Lake Travis High School, ASC All-Academic Team back in 2017. On the Dean's List in 2017, the Director of Athletics Academic Excellence Award in 2018, majoring in political science, minoring in business. One more round of applause for the academics from this young man and all the great things that you're doing.
Thank you.
Well, Garrett, it's kind of cool, man, because we're talking to you, a local guy, right here in the backyard, if you will, right here in Central Texas. We got to ask you, how was it playing under Coach Hank Carter there at Lake Travis, a storied program, a very successful program? Can you talk a little bit about your days at Lake Travis and what that was like for you?
Yeah, playing at Lake Travis was unreal. I mean, there won't be anything like that. But the culture, I don't know, like at Southwestern, I think the culture is really similar. Like Coach Austin has been trying to, make a winning culture, and that's what Coach Carter did for a long time there. And, he got like some job opportunities to go to SMU with Chad Morris when he was the head coach there, and chose to stay with us and build the culture even more. And so I think it's pretty similar in some ways, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, we got to play at some cool stadiums. Got to play at Baylor Stadium, UT when I was a freshman, I think, when I was like on the travel squad or whatever, wearing my freshman jersey. But that was fun too, and A&M Stadium. So that was like something I'll never get to do again, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, as we continue to talk to Garrett Womack here, you're a junior on the team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
I got to get my facts straight because I said, I was talking about the turnovers. I missed that number a while ago, so I've got to make sure my facts are straight. But, as a junior, you've still got a little looking up to do to some of the varsity players. Who do you look up to on the team?
There's not a lot of – there's one senior on the defensive side of the ball, Corey Vega. I guess there's 8 on the offensive side. But Landry actually is someone I look up to because, he said he's reserved, but he does talk. He speaks his mind, and that's what I'm trying to get to do as well, because I'm also kind of reserved when it comes to, I just like to – not that I just care about me, but I just like to, kind of stay focused and things like that. So, but I'm looking to, be like more of the senior group that's really vocal leaders and everything like that. So I'm working towards that.
Well, awesome. Well, just as I talked to Landry earlier, I'm only going to ask one question about Mary Hardin Baylor. A competitive team. They showed their force in a big way on Saturday. As I ask him, talking about the toughness of the defense, can you talk a little bit from your perspective on defense, talk about their offense and their toughness at that part?
Yeah, their offense is really good. I mean, I think they definitely hang their hat on their defense being very solid, as we saw. But their offense is a good force, and their O-line is, you know, one of the best O-lines we'll play all year. They're big guys, strong. But, you know, we did do very well against the run and pass too. So definitely a good offense. But I think we held our own a little bit, so it was fun.
We'll talk a little bit more about that. You know, Coach was talking, and we've seen it, of course, up in the broadcast booth, but your ability to help stop the rush and stop the quarterback, what has that been like this season? You guys have had a lot of success in some of those areas.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, I think they had 169 rushing yards against us, and, you know, probably like 50 or 60 of those were at the very end of the game when we had our twos in. But when the ones were in and rolling, we were stopping it pretty good, like stopping the run and the pass as well. But yeah, we've really made it a big point this year to stop the run, and I think we have pretty well, and we're just going to try and continue that for the rest of the season.
As we continue to talk to Garrett Womack here, you know, 5 games left in the ASC. Can you talk about some of the areas that you'd like to see maybe yourself and including the entire defense work on? Very, you know, we don't want to say that it's a light, easy schedule because there's a lot of competitive teams in the ASC, but those last 5 games, what do you guys really have to work on?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we've made good strides already to being a strong against the run and pass, but I think we just need to keep up our dominance against the run for the rest of the season because we play a lot of running teams, but also in the passing too, because, you know, we lost one of our defensive tackles early on this season, just like last year, DeAndre, and he's a really good player too, so it's been a big hit. But we're adapting. We're going to be a 3-down for the rest of the season, and I don't mind that. I mean, I may get some double teams on passes, which is I'm not used to that. But, you know, we're still getting after it. We're blitzing. We got 4 linebackers back there, and they're coming. We got some big linebackers. So we're able to kind of, you know, hide and be like a 3-down, but we can kind of work into a 4-down and get 4 on 5. But, yeah.
Awesome. We'll talk a little bit more about your defensive teammates and how you guys work and gel together.
Oh, man. The D-line in particular they're just some of my best friends. Like, we have so much fun together in practice, no matter what we're doing, running, whatever. We're having a good time, and we gel really well together as a defense, as a unit. The team does as well, but the defense, we have a lot of fun together. And I mean, the other defensive end, Nicholas Smith, is my roommate. We live in a house together, so we're close too. So that's fun being on opposite sides of the ball, but getting after it together. And but just, yeah, as a defensive unit, we gel really well. But D-line especially, we have a lot of fun.
Awesome. So. Well, Sul-Ross, a team that's 0-4, as we look forward to next week, moving in and talking a little bit about that game now. They're going to be hungry for a win, Garrett.
Yes,
talk
sir.
about your mindset going into this game. You know, just as we've talked all night, talked to Landry, 8-hour road trip ahead, or maybe 9 in the bus. But can you talk a little bit about the mindset going in versus Sul-Ross, who's hungry for their first win of the season, and you guys are hungry to get off that 3-game skid?
Yes, sir. I think they're hungry for a win, but I think our will to bounce back, and I think we're a little hungrier for this win. So, but yeah, the long trip, I mean, I've gotten kind of used to it, though. We, like Landry said, we had a 12-hour trip last year, and I mean, that was brutal. So this 8-hour trip's going to be nothing compared to that. But yeah, you know, we just stay focused and relax on the bus, listen to music, sleep, take a nap, just anything to get through the ride and stay focused as well, though.
Talking about as your season here, just as a junior, you've still got another year under your belt, but still a few games left here, 5 games in the season. Can you talk about your personal focus and some of your goals that you would like to see here with you personally through Southwestern through the remainder of your career here at SU?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Last year I was doing really well at the beginning of the season. I mean, I stayed doing well, but I broke my hand like 2 or 3 weeks in and played with a club for 8 games.
Man.
So that was pretty brutal. I think I was leading the conference in sacks before that. And so I just kind of want to get back on that grind and try and because last year I didn't get like ASC or anything like that. So that's my goal, my personal goal this year, is to get all conference.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about after you graduate here. I know you still got another – we don't want to jump too far ahead, but where do you really want to see yourself once you graduate here from SU?
Yeah, my major says political science, but I changed that last year to business. And so I'm majoring in business, and also I think I may minor in exercise sports studies like Landry as well. But the main thing is I was on Dean's List last year, and so I'm trying to do that again. But I've just been staying focused in class and on the football field, but just staying focused in class and getting good grades and focusing on my future as well.
Awesome. Well, who's been your biggest influence, some folks that have made a real big impact on your life, young man?
In my life?
Yeah.
I would say my dad. He's always taught me to, just put my full effort in anything that I do. So, when I'm playing on Saturday, I'm giving it my all, and when I'm in the classroom, I'm giving it my all as well. So,
awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as every week, it's so awesome to have these young student athletes come up here and talk to us, because we get to get a perspective of where they're at and what they see, but more importantly, hear their stories and talk about the success that they've had at a great university such as Southwestern. Can please join me again as we say thank you here to Garrett Womack. Congratulations, and
thank you.
Keep on rocking and rolling, young man.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Well, we'll step aside. We'll take another break, the third segment, as we'll talk about what's going on at Southwestern. We'll go through that quickly, and then we'll talk about Sul-Ross in the fourth segment. Stay with us. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues here on SHN Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. I'm Rob Hipp. Thanks for joining us here as we will quickly go over some SU sports recaps. The Pirates volleyball team fell 5 sets to 20th-ranked UT Tyler on October the 2nd at home in the Robertson Center here in Georgetown. The team now 8-8 overall, 5-2 in conference play. They match up with Texas Dallas in Georgetown on Friday at 7 o'clock. So if you can't make it to any of the high school games, there's always stuff going on at Southwestern. Get out there, support your Southwestern Pirates friends. Women's soccer shut out by 17th-ranked Trinity 3-0 on October the 2nd. They are 5-4 overall, 3-2 in SCAC play. They hit the road to play Centenary College in Louisiana Friday at 7 p.m. Men's soccer also lost on October 2nd, dropping its second consecutive game 3-1 versus 10th-ranked Trinity. They are now 6-3-1 overall. 4-2-1 in conference play. They will travel to Louisiana as well to play Centenary on Friday at 5 p.m. I did want to mention, too, something that took place here back at the end of September. Southwestern on September the 22nd had their Hall of Fame. I'll quickly read over this, and it's something that was very interesting, and we want to make sure that those folks get recognition as well. The Southwestern Athletics Department very pleased to host another successful Hall of Fame ceremony for the 2018 year. The Southwestern Hall of Fame is to honor the people who have made significant contributions in the field of athletics at SU. An excellent class of recipients who have not only shown through their achievements in Southwestern athletics, but have also successfully moved beyond Southwestern University with greats and represent the university in very high excellence. We're proud to acknowledge the Southwestern University Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame honor class for 2018. Those recipients were Marissa Hawthorne, Ray Barnco, Bob Hamrick, and Dr. Weldon Crowley. Let's give it up for those Hall of Fame recipients. That is great news for those guys. And as we talk more here about some other folks on there, Ray Bronco, Justin Broussard, Grant Gideon, Shelby Hall, Nick Kelly, Kate Mitchell, Nico Snovelli, and Nikki Welch. One more time, round of applause for these folks. Some pretty awesome stuff. And as always, a lot of people make our broadcast possible and make what happens at SU possible within athletics and beyond. We want to thank our sponsors, as always, the platinum level sponsors, Minuteman Press, Waterboy Graphics, Mighty Fine Burgers, Fries, and Shakes, Roger Chappell, Berkshire Hathaway. Roger in the house. He's been at every show. Come on, Roger. So if you want to get acknowledgement like Roger, come to the show, and if I see you, I'll give you some acknowledgement, friends. But we appreciate Roger Chappell, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, First Texas Bank, Georgetown Jewelry, Ricky Poe over there doing a great job, HEB, Mama Foo's Asian House, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Sheraton Austin Georgetown Hotel and Conference Center. Our gold sponsors, CJ's Catering, Double Dave's Pizza, Primerica Financial Solutions, our bank, Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union, Schlossky's Austin Eatery, South Star Bank, St. David's Georgetown Hospital, and Texel Credit Union, as well as Turnip Seed Real Estate Group. The silver sponsors, Antioch Georgetown, Chick-fil-A, Georgetown Commercial Properties, and the Georgetown Shirt Company. And last but definitely not least, a lot of bronze sponsors helping out, making things happen here at SU as well with their sponsorships: Be Creative, Boomtown Escapes, Chisholm Trail Pediatrics, the City of Georgetown, Don Hewlett Chevrolet, Eagles Wings Home Services, Gary Brown CPA, Georgetown Title, Hillstone at Wolf Ranch Apartments, John F. Lewis CPA, State Farm Featherstone Agencies, and Upstream Investment Partners. One more time, thank you to the sponsors for all that you do here at Southwestern University. We appreciate you. We'll step aside. The fourth and final segment coming up. As I always say, the cherry on top, what you've been waiting for. Stay with us as we will talk more SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues in just a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. Rob Hipp now joined alongside my color analyst Galen Welnicki. We welcome Coach Joe Austin back here to the table. As we look ahead and wrap this show up, we're talking about Sul Ross that we're traveling to Alpine on Saturday. The Pirates hit the road for the long trip to Alpine, Texas to play the Sul Ross Lobos. Kickoff at Jackson Field, set for 6 p.m. I know a lot of folks won't be able to make that trip as it's a pretty far journey. We will have that coverage on SHN Sports. We'll talk more about that, Coach, at the end of this. Last year, the Pirates defeated Sul Ross in Georgetown, a close one, 29-27 after a short rally by Sul Ross in the third quarter. This year, the Lobos 0-4, 0-3 in ASC play. Last week, they lost 16-49 at home versus Louisiana College. And before we talk about the matchup, Coach, this is the longest road game of the season. Talk a little bit about the trip, and what time do you guys leave for that? If I'm assuming Friday.
We leave Friday. We'll get home middle of the afternoon on Sunday. So it's a long trip. It's difficult. They in our conference through the second week of October, the home team controls the game time, and a lot of the games are at night, as they should be for kickoffs because of heat. So we do later kickoffs. One thing that Sul Ross does, no matter what the temperature is going to be, is they make you play a night game because they know that they're the furthest west team. So if you can imagine Louisiana College coming out there and playing a night game last week, that's a long time to get home, whether they go home Saturday night or they go home Sunday. So they think that's a competitive advantage. Their coach, to his credit, doesn't hide it. He comes into the coaches' meetings when we iron out start time, said, you guys know you're playing at 6 o'clock if I have control over it. So it's a night game. We'll stay Saturday night, and then we'll head back Sunday.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Coach, can you talk a little bit about the matchup versus Sul Ross? You know, a team that I've talked to these athletes that were here earlier, a team that's hungry for a win. Talk a little bit about the matchup versus Sul Ross.
Well, I think our team is. The they're going to be resilient, I believe. It's interesting. You look at a guy like Garrett Womack, who played at Lake Travis. I don't think he's probably lost back-to-back games since maybe he was in Pee Wee football. So this is a new thing for him. But just talking to him back there as they were getting done, he said, "I can't wait to get on the bus tomorrow. We're hungry to go get a win." And those are the guys that are in control of it. I mean, there's things that decisions I'm gonna make, but I don't get to go out on the field. It's gonna be left up to those guys, and hopefully they're gonna be ready to go.
Coach, can you give us a little insight possibly on some players that Southwestern's going to have to keep an eye on during this game?
Well, they've got good players. You know, they're not to the level of what we've seen the last 3 weeks, but they've got a couple capable receivers, and they've got good quality running backs. And so we just have to play well. But I'm not trying to knock them, but I'm not going to say that they've got an NFL guy like ETBU or a 4-star guy like Louisiana College, or just the most talent of anyone in the nation like Mary Hardin Baylor has. So they've got good players, and they've been a good team in this league, and they were a top 25 team last year until we knocked them out of the top 25. So they'll be solid.
Okay, I've got a couple questions here. I noticed one thing reading through their preview on their website of this upcoming game. Their coach addressed the problem of needing to find a quarterback, even though they've went mainly with one quarterback this year. He says they need to find a quarterback that basically the team can have confidence in and rally around. How does that affect? Does that have a team in when a coach comes out and says something like that? Because nobody else on the team except their starting quarterback has thrown more than 3 passes.
Well, I'm happy to hear that they don't like their quarterback situation. That makes me feel good. And I'll tell you that we like ours.
Yeah.
And so to go in, we're definitely probably going to have an edge at quarterback. Fred, especially when the guys around him are doing well, is very capable. And if they have some indecision, hopefully that's something that we can take advantage of.
And the other thing, one thing I'm interested in, I think a lot of people would be interested in, could you run through your average game day when you're on a trip like that?
Well, I can run through what this game day will be specifically. Because it's a 2-night trip, we don't have to check out of the hotel. And usually that's one of the toughest things of a night game when you're on the road is what do you do from 11 or noon, whenever they throw you out, until a 7 o'clock game. For us, we're going to get to stay at our hotel until 1:30. We've got about a 10-minute drive. Well, about 1:45 probably. About a 10-minute drive to our pregame meal at 2. We'll be there for about a half an hour or so, and then we've got an hour drive to the stadium. We're staying in Fort Stockton, so from Fort Stockton to Alpine is about an hour. And then actually we'll have time we'll come back to the hotel, have restroom break time. It's easier to do that at the hotel than at some of the stadium facilities. There's not a whole lot of facility amenities. And that'll get us there right on time at 4 o'clock. And we always get to the stadium 2 hours early for our kickoffs. We can go through our routines and do all of our warm-ups and things we need to do. Then after the game, we'll have food delivered to the stadium. We'll grab it and eat it on the bus, and we'll get back to the hotel. Of course, with the adrenaline of the game, guys aren't going to fall asleep right away, but we're not doing anything. No one's leaving the hotel. They just can relax and watch the late-night Pac-12 games on ESPN. And we'll be up early. We'll be up at 7. We'll be getting back on the bus and getting back to campus. As soon as we get back to campus, we're going to feed them lunch, and then they're going to go lift weights, go to the training room, and watch the film just like we would on a normal Sunday afternoon. They'd be in mid-afternoon, so it's going to be a long week for them. But luckily, this is our fall breaks. They don't have class on Monday and Tuesday. So we'll be a long weekend, but they're going to get to sleep in on Monday. They're going to get to sleep in on Tuesday. So I think they'll recover and do just fine.
And by the way, that's a long trip from Fort Stockton to Alpine with nothing between those two.
No, there's not a whole lot, but our satellite TV will hopefully work, so we can watch whatever's on ESPN for that hour.
Just looking at the roster, too, one other thing, just looking at the roster, they recruit a lot in this area. I know they don't recruit the same kids you do, but like their quarterbacks from their 2 running backs are from Del Valley and Killeen Shoemaker, their quarterbacks from Van Horn, which is probably the closest they have of any player to their campus.
They do really well in Austin. They do really well in Houston. So I think they've got some guys from Dallas, but I think Houston, Austin, and San Antonio are places they really try to recruit hard. There's really not, as you mentioned, there's not a lot of crossover. Reading through their 2 deep, there's not a guy that we recruited, which doesn't say anything other than we're not recruiting the same guys. Not that someone's recruiting better or worse guys. We're just recruiting different guys. So they're not people that we know and say, hey, I watched this guy through high school or he's been to our campus. So it'll be some new names and faces as we play these guys every year.
Last question now. Put you on the spot. Hardin Simmons, and Mary Hardin Baylor this week. Who do you see?
Well, Hardin Simmons has the style that's going to keep the game close. They're a run-oriented football team, and they're not quite the athletes that Mary Hardin Baylor is, but they're not far off. So I'm going to predict that that Mary Hardin Baylor is going to win, but I think Hardin Simmons will keep it close. They're very good also. It's the number 1 team or 2 team and the number 6 team. So it's 2 really, really good football teams. But I would give Mary Hardin Baylor the edge.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you, appreciate your time and accessibility. Any final closing remarks before we sign off tonight, Coach?
No, long trip. Hope it's a good trip. It is challenging. We mentioned the itinerary. A lot of time away, a lot of downtime, a lot of chances to lose focus, and hopefully our guys will respond well, and I think they will.
Awesome. Well, Coach, as I've said numerous times tonight, and I always say we appreciate your accessibility. It's always been an honor and a blessing to be up here and talk with you about SU football, Southwestern football. A lot of great things going on. You can find out all that information online at southwesternpirates.com. Keep up with all the athletics, not just football, but a lot of great things going on throughout Southwestern. We appreciate Glenn. Thank you, as always, for what you do, and Miss Glade and everybody at Southwestern, a great group of folks. And one last time, can we give a round of applause for our friends here at the Sheraton Austin Hotel? My goal with this show is to build up calluses in y'all's hands. I'm like to clap, man, so... Well, friends, as always, we appreciate you joining us. Wanted to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you'll get notified as soon as the games go live. That's youtube.com/SHN Sports and the number 1. Again, youtube.com/SHN Sports, number 1. Subscribe to that. You will get a notification when we go live, and you'll be able to see everything that's going on here at SHN Sports. Again, thank you to the Sheraton Georgetown Austin Hotel, Galen Welnicki, Coach Austin, and all of our staff here at SHN Sports, reminding you tonight that we're not strong enough alone to make it our own, and we need each other. Provide a word of encouragement, lend a hand of support. Somebody out there tonight needs you. Until then, catch up with us if you can't make it to the game. Again, Saturday, 6 p.m. kickoff in Alpine, Texas. We'll be live with the game. Until then, good luck and go Pirates. We'll see you on Saturday. Good night, everyone.
Hi, Mom.